I'm a rabbi, right? So I don't carry around a lot of high technology, okay? I'm one of the more low-tech people this day and age, so a lot of people tease me, okay? But I have a piece of technology here, which is my heart, okay? And I know that when I'm acting in a certain way, when I'm responding to the calls that I'm hearing, or what I call the wake-up calls, I feel a fullness of spirit, which just makes me want to dance. Throughout life, we get wake-up calls, but just like the alarm that tries to wake you up in the morning, we don't always respond to it. Sometimes we just shut it off and we close our eyes and our ears to the wake-up calls. But the wake-up calls are all around us, and they are the incidents and the realities of the world we live in, which oftentimes reflect a lot of pain and suffering and brokenness, to which we are called to respond. In 1988, I founded an organization called PANIM, which was designed to bring young Jews into Washington to learn about Judaism, Jewish values, and how it affects what they need to do in the world. We like to say that PANIM was about inspiring, training, and equipping young American Jews to a lifetime of activism, leadership, and service, both for the Jewish people and for the world at large. The same year that I founded PANIM, I also founded a synagogue. And I actually grew both organizations for 8 years concurrently. Now, some people found that hard to believe, because I was working 60, 70 hours in PANIM, and I was working another 30, 40 hours for the synagogue, and I had 3 young children at home. How did I do it? But the fact of the matter is, in both cases, I felt I was doing something that only I could do. Now, that may sound a little bit arrogant, but I think that to respond to your calling requires a little bit of chutzpah. Okay, the Hebrew word for, it's not arrogance, it's kind of saying, this is what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to do it. It doesn't mean someone else can't do it, but you're driven in a sense that you've got to get it done. When I'm acting on that sense of calling, I can't wait to get up in the morning and get to my desk and start to work. My brain is filled with ideas about how to move something forward, and we can do this and do this and do this, and that sense of excitement kind of, it's overflowing. And I just can't do enough. Now, is that workaholism? I don't know. After 8 years, both my synagogue and PANIM were very successful. And it didn't seem like I could continue to do justice to both. And I finally decided I would step down from the synagogue as the rabbi and hand it over to a successor. And I felt that a large part of the decision was about my being more present to the family, that I was simply not being fair to my house responsibilities, my home, my children. And I remember the night that we gathered our children around the kitchen table. And I told them that I was going to step down, and they were devastated. They were devastated by it. They were very upset. And when I tried to unpack that, and we've actually had occasion to talk about that in subsequent years, they would come to the synagogue on a Sabbath morning when I'd be leading services. They would see what I had created, what their father had been involved in creating. They would see the energy, the people really being, feeling a sense of fellowship and spiritual fulfillment, and kind of plugging into their Jewish identity and learning and grappling with Torah. And they saw life cycle of events where families would bring their new babies into the synagogue and experience sorrow and mourning, having lost loved ones to death, and everything in between. And they saw that I was the primary mover of that phenomenon, and they took so much pride in that, that despite the fact that I was away from them a lot to make that happen, it was part of what made me alive and made me a role model for them as their father. It does make me reflect on this notion about what does life look like, and what does it feel like when you're acting on your deepest calling of what you're meant to do.